And I think you can start, David.
Great. Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to the meeting of Wednesday, October 28th, 2020 of the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee. My name is David Campos and I am chair of the Democratic County Central Committee, and I'm calling this meeting to order. Thank you to all of our members, to all of the Democrats that are joining in on Zoom. And this is probably going to be a somewhat short meeting. I know that there's a lot of activity between now and election day. So our hope is that by the time we meet again, we will have had a blue wave, a national Democratic victory with a new president, and a victory taking back the US Senate and keeping the House of Representatives. So with that, I'm going to call on our recording secretary, Janice Lee, and have the roll call.
Thank you, Chair Campos, and I second those comments. All right, roll call. Member John Avlos.
Present.
Member Baraka.
Present.
Member Barry.
Here.
Member Campos.
Present.
Member Chen.
Present.
Member Dufty. Member Galata.
Present.
Member Haney.
Present.
Member Banez. Member Kim. Member Lacroix.
Present.
Member Lee, present. Member Loftus.
Here for the blue wave.
All right. Member Lovett.
Here.
Member Mandelman. Member Mahogany.
Here.
Member Marr.
Here by proxy.
Member Maliga.
Here by proxy.
Member Morales.
Presente.
Member Raju.
Here by proxy.
Member Roden.
Here by proxy.
Member Thomas.
Here.
Member Tung.
Here.
Member Williams.
Present by proxy.
All right. And then on to SFDCCC, Member Feinstein. Member Pelosi. Member Spear.
Here by proxy.
Member Kounalakis.
Also here for the blue wave by proxy.
All right. Member Ma.
Here by proxy.
Member Cohen.
She's here by proxy, Tyra Fennell.
Thank you. Member Chu.
Here by proxy.
Member Ting.
Here.
And then I'll just go back to check. Member Dufty. Member Banez.
Presente.
Thank you. Member Kim. And Member Mandelman. All right, back to you, Chair. We have quorum.
Janice, I think you forgot me.
Oh, Member Weiner.
Okay, I'm sorry. I've got you,
Okay.
Matt.
That's all right, no problem, but here by proxy.
Thank you, everyone. And again, we're just a few days away from the blue wave. And so we're going to move the meeting along. We're going to go now to item number 2, which is the approval of the meeting agenda for tonight's meeting. You have the meeting agenda before you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Motion by Member Weiner, second by Member Ibanez. Are there any amendments? Seeing none on the motion and the second, can we take that without objection?
Yes.
Without
moved.
objection?
I moved.
That is approved. Now we'll move on to item 3, which is the approval of the minutes of the October 14th special meeting of the DCCC. Have the minutes before you. Can we have a motion on those minutes?
So move. Ibanez.
Second.
Motion by
Lacroix.
Ibanez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Lacroix. Are there any comments or amendments? On that, can we take that without objection? Without objection. Now we will go on to
Chair
the next
Campos?
item. Yes,
Member Chu would like to abstain from the minutes from the special meeting in October.
okay.
Thank you.
So we have an abstention. Is there any other abstention?
Yes. Wiener.
Wiener, Chu. Anyone else?
Ma.
Ma,
Ting, I guess
Ting.
as well then.
Kunalakis.
Kunalakis. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
Now we'll move on to item number 4, which is general public comment. And this is the portion of the agenda where we hear from the public and from our San Francisco Democrats who elected us to this body. And I know that many of them are actually making calls and, doing all the work that we're doing to get this blue wave. But I'll turn it over to our executive director. And I know that there's a lot of activity, so I'm going to limit the public comment to 1 minute. So turn it over to Karima, our executive director.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Chair Campos. So for public comment, please use the function raise hand. Like this, I can see you. You will find it at the bottom of your screen. If you cannot find the function raise hand, please put your name in the chat. I will see you, or Zoe will see you, and we will bring you on for a public comment. As soon as I bring you on the panelist side, we will be able to see you and hear you for a minute. So thank you. And I'm going to start with Rabbit Lynn, and second, Rhonda Rios, and Wendy Aragon. Rabbit Lynn, I bring you on. And also Alan Terrones will be the timekeeper tonight. One of our wonderful interns. Hi.
Shalom. My name is Rabbi Lynn Gottlieb. It's good to be here. I'm board chair of Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity and director of Youth and Family Programming at Chochmat Lev, a local synagogue, and one of the first 8 women to become a rabbi in Jewish history. I have come to know Charles Joseph through his dedicated work as a spiritual leader and advocate for those who have been caught up in California's massive carceral system through my work with Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity. What is happening to Charles is so unjust. What I want to speak to, what it has meant for me as a rabbi, who is also on the front lines of preserving traditional culture in a society that does not value indigeneity, to be able to share prayer with Charles Joseph, who has come from a culture and a people who have persisted in the face of massive neglect, oppression, and a US carceral system that values punishment over healing and repair.
Time's up.
Pray with Charles Joseph.
Thank you, Ravi. Thumbs up.
It's very special. And please pass a resolution to pardon Charles Joseph for the sake of all of us so we can benefit.
Next speaker, we have Rhonda Rio. And just after, we have Wendy Aragon. We'll get ready, and Charles Joseph. Rhonda, we can see you. We cannot hear you. You're good.
I don't have the mute function. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, my name is Rhonda Rios-Kravitz. I am a founding member of the Sacramento Immigration Coalition, which consists of 40 immigrant rights organizations. We have known Charles for a number of months now, and we have seen how he's turned his life around, and his generosity and self-sacrifices are well known in the Sacramento area. The Sacramento Area Coalition recognizes the time-honored role of state law in immigration determinations and the power of the state to promote competing norms of justice and empathy. We ask that you, with this resolution, help protect Charles from the Trump administration's aggressive efforts to deport people like him. Today, when federal immigration enforcement policies have taken a sharp turn towards the implementation of draconian, inhumane, and cruel policies, we urge you to pass this resolution. The governor, with his pardon power, has the ability to correct the disproportionate punishments inflicted on immigrants. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Wendy Aragon. And just after we have Charles Joseph and Amy. Wendy?
Hello, everybody. My name is Wendy Autobahn, and I would like to invoke my presidential privilege as an associate member of this body. I am the president of the Richmond District Democratic Club, and our endorsed candidate for supervisor is also the Democratic Party's endorsed candidate, Connie Chan. I want to commend this body for having a special meeting to condemn the deceptive mailers that are coming out. But something I would like to see this body do is go further. Our bylaws, and there's a couple of other clubs that have similar bylaws, that if you're working on a campaign that is corporate, if you're working on a campaign that is funded by Republicans, if you're working on a campaign that is funded by a super PAC, be it directly or indirectly, you should not be serving as an officer or as a board member of any chartered Democratic club. If we want to push back on Citizens United and this dark money, I think that really has to go all the way down. I don't know if you saw, but a recent flow chart came out that directs the Neighbors for a Better San Francisco into certain other, which is a super PAC funded by Republican billionaires. It shows how the money trickles down into other smaller PACs and shadow organizations, including a new one that popped up in the Richmond this week called Richmond Renters Organization, which is not a real organization, but is fronting itself as one to confuse tenants. So I would like this body, when we look at having clubs rechartered, and every year we have to resubmit our bylaws, that there should be a requirement in all of our bylaws that club officers and board members of clubs should not be able to be employed while they're serving as in those positions by any super PAC, by any Republican funded money, or any corporate funded ballot measure or campaign, be it directly or indirectly. So I hope that the members of this body will take that up. I think it's really important for protecting our democracy and making sure that dark money is not influencing just not only our elections, but our Democratic clubs. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Next speaker, we have Charles Joseph, Amy Argenal, get ready. And just after we have Gala King. Where are you? I cannot see.
Where I cannot see myself.
We can hear you, but we cannot see you. But we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay. Bula to all. My name is Charles Robert Joseph. Bula is good life greetings in Fijian. And I just want to take this moment to thank you. David Campos and the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee for taking this time to hear from me. I'm here trying to get your support for a pardon so that I can stay here in the country and be with my family and my children and, just get a chance to be a father and build my family and help build my community around me. I've been through 12 years of prison and detention, and yes, I have done a lot of things for other people, and I'm here specifically for me. I need this chance, and I just need a chance. So I'm here to ask all of you for that chance to vote in favor of my pardon to be sent to the governor. Thank you very much for your time. Sorry, my video is not working. I don't know what's going on. It's just, but I appreciate all of you. Much respect and much love. I wish you could have seen me. My smile is better than my voice. But I appreciate all your smiles. Thank you.
We couldn't see you, but we definitely heard you, and thank you for sharing your story. And that was very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Next speaker, we have Amy Argenal, and just after we have Gala King and Julie Litwin.
Hello. My name is, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Amy Archino. I'm an adjunct faculty in the Masters of Migration Studies at the University of San Francisco. And I'm also here to put in public comment for Charles Joseph on the resolution for his pardon. I stand against family separation in all ways. And Charles is a father, a son. His family is here. He's paid for his crime. He is a community member. He was in detention and risked his whole hearing by standing up for many of his fellow prisoners under COVID, by sending out videos to highlight the extreme conditions under COVID. He's a singer. He's somebody who belongs with us. He's a member of our California community. And so I'm just here to offer my testimony. Charles has come into my class in the master's program at USF to share his experiences, to offer his story to students. They see him as a leader in this movement, as do I. And I'm just here to offer my testimony for his pardon. I think that this is what we need to do as Californians. It's what we do to keep our state safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next speaker, we have Gala King and Julie Litwin. Get ready just after. Hey, we can see you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. I'm Gayla King. I'm with the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity and just joining the chorus of voices lifting up our support for Charles. I had the blessing of getting to know Charles' family over a year ago when they were reaching out for support when he was, really unjustly transferred directly into ICE custody after serving time. So for the past year, we've had the privilege to work closely with his family while he was detained to advocate for his release. And now that he's back at home with his family, that advocacy and that relationship has just continued. As Charles mentioned, I've seen him be an incredible leader, not only for his own story and his own path, but for many, many others. He's the kind of community member that we need to have on our side to keep pushing and keep fighting for justice within both the immigration systems as well as the criminal justice system. So thank you all for considering your support of the resolution, and we hope it passes so that the governor can hear that San Francisco electeds are also behind Charles. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Julie Litwin. Then we have Francisco Christopher Christensen, Austin Tam. Julie? Can you hear us? There we go.
Okay, I got it. You got me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. My name is Julie Litwin. I'm the Immigration Committee Chair at Kahila Community Synagogue in the East Bay. I've had the good fortune to get to know Charles and his family over the past year and have been actively involved with the faith community in working for Charles's pardon. Charles Joseph's case exemplifies so much of what is terribly wrong with our current immigration policies. He was turned over to ICE after being released from parole. He was held in ICE detention for 11 months simply to await his day in immigration court, even though he has risk factors for COVID. And he would still be there to this day, except for a lawsuit that helped get him out. Charles was released in April, but now he's confined to his home on house arrest, which is also unjust. Charles' past conviction means that the only way that he'll be allowed to stay in this country is if he receives a pardon from Governor Newsom. Therefore, I urge you to support Charles's pardon, which he so deserves. And I also urge you as Democratic leaders to do everything you can to change the unjust immigration policies that are harming so many like Charles and his family.
Thank you, Julie. Time's up. Thank you. Next speaker, we have Francisco. Then just after, we have Christopher Christensen, Austin Tam, and Karen Zapata. Hello, sorry. I bring you on now. Should be good. Francisco?
All right, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Francisco Ugarte. I'm the manager of the Immigration Defense Unit at the San Francisco Public Defender's Office. There's a lot to say about Charles Joseph, but I'll just say one thing. When I met him, he was in immigration detention in Bakersfield at the Mesa Verde detention facility. He was scheduled for his deportation hearing in San Francisco over video, and he couldn't find a lawyer. And there were around 380 people in the facility at the time. And when I talked to him, he told me to reach out to a country music singer, a Hall of Famer named Lacey Dalton. And so I said, okay, yeah, sure. So I looked her up and sent an email to her publicist, and she got back to me. Lacey Dalton did within 15 minutes. And she said Charles Joseph is one of the best songwriters she had ever met. And she brought people together in prison. She was a volunteer teacher at the High Desert Prison. I knew he was special, and it's not always the case as a lawyer that your client becomes your mentor, your teacher, the person you look to for guidance. But this is really what has happened to me with Charles Joseph. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker, we have Christopher Christensen and Austin Tam. Get ready.
Good evening, everybody. I am here to actually speak on item 8, which is protecting the Bay Area transit workers. This resolution was written by Dean Preston and passed unanimously at the Board of Supervisors about a week ago, and I'm urging that this resolution pass here at the DCCC. This resolution will protect the 185 workers that work for the Golden Gate Bridge and Highway Transportation District, who right now are trying to lay off the 185 workers, which include the IBU, the Marine Division of the ILWU, and various other transit unions. So please, let's not let these 185 heavily certified workers that are frontline workers receive pink slips for Christmas rather than gifts for their children. So thank you so much. Please support item 8 resolution, as well as Leah LaCroix's resolution for the live music news and Charles's resolution as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, we have Austin Tam. And just after, we have Karen Zapata, and the last speaker is Susan Pfeiffer. I don't see anyone else. If I didn't speak your name, please use the function raise hand or put your name in the chat. Hello, Austin. Can you please activate your microphone?
Hi, good evening. I'm here. My name is Austin Tam. I'm an elected delegate for the California Democratic Party, and I was elected to Central Committee on March 3rd. I urge you to adopt this resolution for Charles Joseph to pressure Governor Newsom to grant a pardon. On December 19, 2019, a letter from the California Democratic Party API caucus wrote a letter to endorse the letter to pressure Governor Newsom, which had over 19 signers. I urge you to pass this resolution so Charles could be with his family, and he's a wonderful man and human being, and one that should stay here, and we should not be complicit any longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Next speaker, Karen. Then we have Susan Pfeiffer, Izzy Shelton, Casey Loudermilk, and Roger Picconi.
Good evening, members. My name is Karen Zapata. I'm a teacher at Berkeley High School, joining you to urge you to vote yes on the resolution to support Charles Bula Joseph. I invited Bula to come speak to my class just weeks ago after I learned of the struggle for his pardon. The students were so moved by Charles's story, and I would briefly like to read a comment from a student of mine. Charles served his time in prison and was supposed to go home to his family, but was given to ICE instead. I believe that he should at least get to spend more time with his family and recuperate all of those lost memories while being in prison. Let him see his two daughters get to grow up and graduate school and have children on their own. Let him get that bond with his kids so that they won't follow in his steps when their father isn't around. My mother is going through the same process, but has a more difficult case, and I thank God that I spent all my life with her, because without her, I probably would be lost. I beg you to consider his case and let him stay with his family. Let his daughters grow up with a father and let them enjoy being a family again. I urge you to support Charles by approving this resolution tonight.
Thank you. Next speaker, Susan Pfeiffer. Then we have Casey, Roger, Gabrielle, and Allison. Hi, Susan, we cannot hear you.
That's the story of my life. I'm glad I made it in. I just got off a phone bank and completely forgot that we were doing this. I've been on too many Zoom calls recently. I unmuted MSNBC, and as Rachel Maddow was handing it over to Lawrence O'Donnell and saying goodnight, I waved and said goodnight like the Zoom call I had just been on. So it's the nature of it. I want to thank Susie Loftus for bringing in Mayor London Breed and Karima and Peter and Zoe and Priscilla and Emmanuel for running all of these phone banks, and for Vote Blue SF for being a hub. We're seeing amazing action of clubs and groups holding phone banks, which is exactly what we had in mind. This weekend, we go into the final GOTV. There are two main hubs where you go to Mobilize, but you can look for a group that Austin Hunter is running, which is working directly with the Joe Biden campaign. And those are calls just for Joe Biden, get out the calls. Democracy Action is another group that is also, every call they make is for Joe Biden, get out the vote, but they are also calling for Senate races in Iowa and Arizona and Michigan and Colorado and maybe even Alaska on election day. Because we'll follow the sun. They'll all be happening about 7 a.m. till about 7 p.m. It's the marathon, but it's wonderful. Thank everyone who's made calls, and we'll see you at the finish line.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Next speaker, we have Casey. Then we have Roger, Gabrielle, and Allison. Allison Moulton is the last speaker that I have who raised her hand. And now I have Isis Shelton. Casey?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Excellent. Hello, thank you. My name is Casey Loudermilk, and I'm representing the San Francisco Venue Coalition in support of item 7. We are quickly realizing that for our industry to survive, we must spread awareness of the bleak state of small independent venues at all levels of government, which is why we are so grateful for the SFDCCC's consideration of this resolution. We are advocating for the survival of all venues of all sizes in San Francisco. We rely on each other to foster talent in our smaller spaces so they can grow and fill larger spaces. Given the massive overhead costs that our venues are obligated to during this shutdown, there is a real risk that San Francisco, the birthplace of the concert industry, is on the brink of mass cultural extinction without direct government funding. We have already seen the permanent closure of Bay Area institutions such as the Stud and Slims in San Francisco and the Uptown and Starline Social Club in Oakland as canaries in the coal mine. As the last to reopen in this government-mandated shutdown, we need government support to get to the other side. I urge you to support this item 7. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. Next speaker, we have Roger Picconi, and then we have Gabrielle Docto, Allison Moulton, and Isis Shelton. Roger?
Sorry, there I am. My name is Roger Picone. I'm representing the San Francisco Venue Coalition, a group of independent music venues. We might be new advocates, but we were already community organizers, bringing life and vibrance to the city. We bring people together for live events, fundraisers, political parties, business events, holiday parties, etc. And currently our industry is shuttered, and the ecosystem of our staff and the vendors that also support them are collapsing. We were the first businesses to close and the very last to be able to reopen. We don't expect to reopen until late summer of 2021. And I really worry what San Francisco art and culture will look like if there's no significant relief. Monday's press release from Mayor Breed talked about our industry being the key to the recovery of San Francisco. We truly are facing an existential crisis and are looking for your help and advice so we can help retain art and culture in San Francisco. And I really appreciate the opportunity tonight to let you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, we have Gabrielle, Allison, just after, and Isis.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, and thank you. My name is Gabe. I'm a member of the San Francisco Venue Coalition. The pandemic has violently gutted our businesses, independent music venues, and replaced steady growth of the concert industry with just immeasurable loss. A national survey has calculated that for every $1 spent at a music venue, $12 is spent in the local community. If you consider the 300 places of entertainment in the city of San Francisco, this statistic gives you a monetary metric that showcases music as a vital organ to San Francisco's anatomy. The preservation of our venues is imperative to a successful cultural and economic recovery. Places of entertainment have proven to successfully revitalize neighborhoods, as we've seen in NOPA since the Independent opened in 2004. This is the city of Bill Graham, the Summer of Love, the city where so many musicians and artists became cultural icons and inspired people around the world. If we do not act now to save our venues, we risk losing a vital part of our culture and purpose as the city of San Francisco. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, we have Allison Milton, and the last speaker just after is Isis Shelton.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening. My name is Allison Moulton, and I'm the general manager at Bimbo's 365 Club in North Beach. I'm also speaking to item number 7 for the music venues, also one of the co-founders of the San Francisco Venue Coalition. And just like Roger said, we're the first to close and the last to open. Our business models are based entirely on crowds. And because of this, since March, 98% of our employees have been furloughed, myself included. And in San Francisco, the venues alone employ 68,000 people in the Bay Area. So I'm sure you guys get what impact that has on the city's economy, real estate, homelessness, mental health, all of that. And it's not going to stop for like years to come while we remain closed. So thank you so much for considering our resolution, and we're asking here for support on this. There's been a great and equitable impact on our industry, and we can really use your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Last speaker, Isis Shelton. Easy? Yeah, you're muted.
I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm Isis. I'm a student at Berkeley High. I got the opportunity of meeting Charles Bulla through my wonderful English teacher, Miss Zapata, and Charles was the most positive person I've ever met before. Like he even with all of the obstacles he was facing in life, he did nothing but radiate positivity. He loved playing music for communities that didn't have any to begin with. And he was a father at best. Like, he deserves to go home. He did his time. And I really hope that you guys will consider his pardon. That's all I came to say, and that's all I ask. He's really is a positive person who deserves to be home with his family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that was our last public comment.
Thank you very much. Seeing no other speakers, that concludes public comment. And I know that we had a lot of people who went out of their, way to make the time to be here tonight to share some powerful stories, their own personal stories, and we're going to hear the different resolutions that have been brought to address those. And I just want to thank, all the people that have spoken here. Charles, and we're going to, talk more about that, but also the venues, the independent venue owners and that industry for taking the time to share their experience with us. And of course, to the workers from the Golden Gate Bridge who are being impacted right now. So before we move on to those items, just to let them know that we're going to do a brief overview of officer reports. So we're going to move on to the next item, which is item number 5, which is the officer reports, beginning with the chair. And I'm going to be just very brief and simply note that we've had a pretty extensive voter outreach program by the San Francisco Democratic Party. Very proud of the messaging that we've done. Our slate card program sent out 3 different slate cards in English, Chinese, and Spanish to about 200,000 households in the city and county, which is more than 300,000 voters. And that is the largest circulation that we've had for our program, in addition to individual mailers that went out to support different candidates. And that would not be possible without the support and the work of our executive director. And as you will see from the report of our treasurer, I'm proud of the fact that we were able to do this, to have as extensive and ambitious a communications voter outreach program, and at the same time actually address some financial challenges that we've had, including being in a place where we're in a position to pay the debt that we had faced around the federal account, and still have money left over. So all of that took a lot of work, and I just want to thank our executive director and everyone who has played a part in making that a success. And I think that all of us as members of this body should be proud of the work we're doing. And of course, we're going to hear from Peter Galata and other officers about the work of Vote Blue SF, which continues to be such a critical part of what we do now in these elections. And of course, no election is more important than this one. And so I'm just very proud of the calls that have been made. And of course, different people have taken on this mantle. Susie Loftus has done a remarkable job of organizing women. And today we had, the highest elected official in the city, our mayor, who was a part of that. I know that a number of us organized the Latino community. There's an API effort going on later this week. And of course, the clubs that have been so instrumental, and Karima working with Susan Pfeiffer and the Pelosi team have made that happen. And of course, Peter, who has been just doing a lot of heavy lifting to orchestrate that and make it happen and make it look like it's pretty easy, run smoothly, when in fact there's a lot that goes behind that. The 2 things that I would note are, one, just for purposes of information, I asked Karima to send out a pledge that every Democrat in California is being asked to make. That's by the Black Caucus for the state of California. and it's the Emmett Till anti-racism pledge. And I know that I went on and signed on and pledged, but for those of you who may be wondering what that's about, Emmett Till was a 14-year-old African-American boy who was lynched in Mississippi in 1955 after being accused of offending a white woman. The cruelness, barbarism, and brutality of his murder was just heartbreaking. And so given what's happening around the country with Black Lives Matter, but all the efforts around police reform, and just the state of affairs, I think it's really important that as Democrats in California and certainly San Francisco Democrats, that we recommit ourselves to the fight for racial justice. And so I wanted to make sure that we share that and that everyone had an opportunity to make that pledge. And then the last thing that I would say, and I hope that we don't get to this point, and that is one of those things that I don't even like the fact that I have to say something about this, but I think it's something that we have to be mindful of as we look to the future of our democracy. I hope that we have a resounding blue wave victory on Tuesday, and that we find that out as quickly as possible when the polls close on Tuesday. But just so you know, in the eventuality that the people that are in control of the federal government refuse to protect and to abide by the democratic process, there are things that we as Democrats and as San Francisco Democrats have to be ready to do. So we have a number of things that might be happening if that is the case. I hope that we never get to that point. But I note that just because there will be things that the National Democratic Party, the state party, and that we at the local level may need to do to protect our democratic process and to make sure that we protect the right of every voter who participated in this election, that their voices are heard. So we will keep that in mind. Peter, Galata, and Karima and I have a conversation tomorrow to discuss different options and different things that are happening. If any of you is interested in being a part of that conversation, please let me or Karina know. So with that, Karima, no. With that, I am done with my report, and unless there's any questions, I will turn it over to our first vice chair, Leah Lacroix.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I hope that you are doing well and feeling, actually feeling very sore because you should be out knocking on doors and talking to potential voters to get out the vote for this election cycle. So I'll keep it brief. This weekend, we have a mobilization with our endorsed candidate in District 11, John Avalos, at 10 a.m. I believe that Karima has been reaching out to everybody, reminding them of the mobilizations that we've had over the past few weeks, notably one for our endorsed candidate in District 7, Velasta, on the 18th, Connie Chan this past Saturday on the 24th, and Milna Mirgar this past Sunday on the 25th. I just want to thank everybody who was able to show up for any one of those mobilizations, for your dedication and commitment to the party. And I look forward to seeing more people on Saturday for our endorsed candidate, John Avalos. On Sunday, it's become a free day. And so what we're encouraging everybody to do is to plug into one of the mobilizations or door knocking or scheduled events for any of our endorsed candidates. Wear your blue DCCC shirt, bring your blue SFDCCC water bottle, take tons of pictures and share them with myself and Karima so that we can post them on our social channels and then just show the breadth of and the reach that we have as a Democratic Party to support our endorsed candidates. I know that everyone's times schedule is a little bit different, so from Sunday through to Election Day, be sure to plug into campaigns for our endorsed candidates and take a photo, share it with us, and that would be very, very helpful. With that, I will turn it over to our next vice chair for their report. Thank you.
Vice Chair Baraka.
Hello, everyone. As you probably know, voter registration regular voter registration has ended as of October 19th. But if you know of anyone who has not been able to register within the normal registration period, please let them know that we do have conditional voter registration. I just put the link in the chat. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I'm sure everybody's getting their ballot out early, but if you haven't had a chance to use the Track My Ballot feature with the Secretary of State's office, that's a good way to find out how, and I should say, find out where your ballot is. I'll also put that in the chat. The third thing that I wanted to mention was the report that we also received from the Secretary of State's office. Every presidential year, he does a 60-day report out from the election, and that report can be found here, which I will also put in the chat. A few things I wanted to just highlight in the report is that of the 25 plus million eligible voters in the state of California, we were able to register 21 million of them, or 84.68 of the eligible voters, which is really great. Now, if we could just get those folks to get their ballots in. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that by political party, California is 46.4% Democrat. That's just under double the amount of Republicans registered, and they're registered at 24.2% of our eligible registrations. An interesting pie chart at the bottom of that first page kind of gives you a nice visual. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that San Francisco still ranks #1 as having the most Democratic Party registrations at 62.79. And if you're curious, if you want to go to Republican land, you'd have to go to Lassen or Modoc counties. Okay. The last thing I wanted to mention about the Secretary of State's report is that as of September 4, when the report was written, we had 602,833 pre-registered voters, which is up from the previous reporting period of it's up about 40,000. So that's great news as well. If there are no questions, that is all I have, Chair.
Thank you very much, Keith, for continuing to just do that heavy lifting, which is so critical to our success. So we'll now move on to Vice Chair Mahogany to talk about clubs and club chartering.
Sure, thank you, Chair Campos. We have reached out there are 4 potential clubs that are awaiting to be rechartered. However, they are electing to get through the election first and have said that they will submit their applications next month. So we will be following up with them. There are no new clubs to be chartered today. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to issues and resolutions. So Vice Chair Lovett.
I think a lot of our reports are circling around this direct support for our candidates and for the blue wave. So I find it incredibly invigorating to be out in the communities, pounding the pavement, talking to people. And it really, I think, just shows that with the diversity of our communities, we have a lot in common. We have a lot to overcome as well in terms of the economic struggles in the midst of COVID. And this is our opportunity to really bring together our communities with different interests, in spite of the challenges and, all the issues going on. And with respect to what's happening nationally and in other states, our phone banks have been really critical. And I want to echo what Chair Campos has said about the previous phone banks that have been organized. I felt so energized calling Arizona last week. And when you have, Every couple of calls, you have these really meaningful conversations, and you get to connect with somebody else who's living in this country and share some of the same issues and struggles. And they might not have that same banner of blue or red, but we can relate to them. And hopefully in that conversation, they're one step closer to voting blue. So with that in mind, I'm putting in the chat that we have 2 more phone banks. I could list all the folks who are co-hosting. I think probably at this point, a lot of our members have co-hosted or have made calls on the phone banks. So there are 2 coming up, and you just want to click on events. There's one tomorrow, Thursday at 5:30. And there's one on Friday at 5 o'clock. So please join, whether you can do these virtual phone banks using a digital platform that is super easy. I found it, just took a few tries to kind of get the hang of it. And the dialer does the work for you. So you just kind of follow the prompts and you get to talk to folks around the country. And one last thing is that, of course, we know why this race for the White House is so important, but the Washington Post has also reported that of 23 Senate seats, US Senate seats that are in play, well, there are 12, so over half are competitive. So we've got a shot, and I'm talking about the Republican seats, of course. So when we call Arizona, when we call some of these swing states, it is really critical what we're doing. And we're building toward, the next wave and the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Lovett. And we'll now hear from Vice Chair Galata, who has been spearheading the effort around Vote Blue SF.
Thank you, Chair Campos. Are you all sick of me yet? I feel like a broken record over here. But the good news is we're in the home stretch. And we are leaving it all on the field this next week. And we have been really just calling and dialing nonstop on the phones. And the past few weeks, we've been mostly ballot chasing in Arizona, as Member Lovett just said, making sure that folks are getting their ballots in, because we're not taking anything for granted. And in fact, we heard today that Biden is only ahead by 3 points in Arizona at this point, and he had a larger lead a couple weeks ago, and we're seeing that lead narrow. And Mark Kelly, who was ahead by 11 points in Arizona, now they're saying it's a dead heat. So everything we're doing right now is making a difference. And it's turnout. If we turn our folks out, we can win. And we just need to make sure we help make that happen. And Vote Blue SF has been such a collective team effort. And I just want to say I'm just so proud of the ways in which this committee and my colleagues and the members of this committee, our Democratic clubs, have all stepped up over the past few weeks and months to organize, to host, and to attend phone banks. You've helped bring in new volunteers. You've helped engage diverse constituencies and communities in this work. And you've brought the energy that we've needed to really sustain this work, because it's not easy. It's not always fun on those calls. We get a lot of hangups. We get a lot of folks who don't want to hear from us. But the folks that do, it's so satisfying when we hear from folks are with us and are voting blue up and down the ticket. And as Chair Campos said, tonight Member Loftus hosted her 4th and final Women's Wednesdays phone bank, and Mayor Breed joined us and got us all fired up. We had over 20 women making calls into Arizona tonight. And I just wanted to also thank Member Loftus because she really helped us break the ice with these DCCC-led phone banks. And I remember the call we had a couple months ago. We were talking about this and we were like, how should we do this? Can we do this? And we did it. And you did it. And Women's Wednesdays became really a model that we built from and we expanded on. And I just want to really just thank you, Member Loftus, for being kind of the first to raise your hand to say, yes, let's do this. And you sent over dates and we made it happen. And there have been so many events and members and clubs, too many to mention by name, but you know who you are. I know who you are. And I see you and I appreciate you for stepping up. And as Member Lovett said, we're not done yet. We've got more events lined up this week. We have 2 more DCCC member hosted phone banks. So tomorrow night, at 5:30. We have Asian, Black, and Brown women coming together for Biden. Members love it. Ibanez, Barry, and former member Sousa are co-hosting that event. We'll also drop more links into the chat so you can register. On Friday night at 5 p.m., we have API leaders for Biden-Harris, and this is an amazing crew of folks: Gordon Marr, Janice Lee, Queena Chen, Lee Lovett, Nancy Tong, Jane Kim, Fauga Maliga, and Manu Raju, all coming together to hold that phone bank down on Friday at 5. And then this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, is all Biden-Harris all the time, literally morning, noon, and night, starting at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. There will be phone banking opportunities. I will also drop a link into the chat. I know Austin Hunter's on the call tonight, and he's been organizing these Biden-Harris phone banks. And literally, you can sign up for a shift. If it's an hour, 2 hours, whatever you can do, there's literally a shift for you ready to get you plugged in to be making calls. And that's really happening through Tuesday. So of course, you can always go to votebluesf.org. All of the events are there. There's more events happening than just those, but just that's kind of the highlights. And really just can't say it enough, but we could not do this work without a number of folks. Specifically, I just want to thank again Speaker Pelosi and the amazing Team Pelosi, especially Susan Pfeiffer, for who's been our phone bank captain in chief over the past 2 months and helping us lead so many phone banks. Our partner organizations, also too many to name, but they've been hosting the vast majority of phone banks through Vote Blue SF in partnership with us. Swing Left, Democracy Action, the California Democratic Party also as well has been an incredible partner. And just last but not least, the SF Democratic Party Vote Blue SF team, Karima, Zoe, Priscilla, and Emmanuel. I just really cannot acknowledge them enough because this is the team that really made it happen. And they said yes to your asks. And they've always said, we'll find a way to make it happen. They've done it all. They've kept the Zooms going. They've trained hundreds of volunteers. They're really the backbone of this operation. And just most of all, they've been an absolute pleasure to work with. And so just please join me in the biggest virtual kind of round of applause and appreciation to them for their dedication and work. And the last thing I'll say before I conclude my report is just we know, as Chair Campos said, this isn't over on Election Day. We know that Trump is going to try to mess with the results from day one. So we're starting to look farther down the field, and there are already kind of organizers and resistance groups that are starting to plan for post-election actions and activities. And so one of those activities is actually ballot curing and ballot chasing. So this is for people whose ballots have been disqualified. So they voted, they submitted their ballot, but for whatever reason, their ballot was disqualified. It may be that the signature doesn't match, for example. And so folks in that situation, they actually in some states have the opportunity to fix that. So instead of phone banking to get people to vote, which is what we're doing right now, it may be that post-election day, we're actually standing up phone banks to get people to go fix their ballots. So we make sure their ballots are counted. The second piece is making sure that we are really all united around the belief that every vote must be counted. And I think that is something that we believe as San Francisco Democrats, and we need to protect the results of the election. So just taking off my Vote Blue SF hat, putting on DCCC hat, I think the San Francisco Democratic Party really, as Chair Campos said, we play a role. We need to be out there adding our voice to this. There is an action already being planned called Protect the Results. It's an action being organized by Indivisible SF, Bay Resistance, other organizations. That's happening on Wednesday, November 4th at 3 p.m. At Embarcadero Plaza. And they're asking for organizations to sign on and support. And so if there are no objections, I'd like to add the San Francisco Democratic Party as an event endorser of this action next Wednesday. And happy to answer questions on that. But as David mentioned, we're still in conversation with groups around what's happening, and we'll keep folks posted about that. So anyway, that's all I've got. I'm going to drop some links into the chat about those events that we have left. And as Mayor Breed said tonight, let's bring this win home for the Bay and for all of us next week. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Peter. Well said, well done. Great job all around. And thank you to our amazing team. And we will keep you posted on the specifics of what will be happening on Wednesday and any other activity around protection of the results. So we'll now move on to a report from our treasurer. And as you know, we have our acting treasurer, Carolina Morales. But before we turn to her, I want to turn to AJ Thomas, who's been sort of transitioning with Carolina. And so with that, I'll turn it to AJ and then to Carolina.
Thank you, Chair Campos. And I want to reiterate what folks have said in sending some appreciation to Member Galata, Susan Pfeiffer, our interns. I know I speak for all of us by saying I've jumped in on some of these phone banking sessions and seeing how much work has gone into organizing them so that you can just show up, get trained, and start phone banking. It's really been awesome, and seeing the work that that's been set up. Really do appreciate all of that. Additionally, with regard to fundraising, there's been a lot of money moving through. As was mentioned, we've been able to address a lot of some of the financial challenges. We're going to have a more robust report in the November meeting, but I wanted to thank also Member Morales for stepping up and taking on the responsibility with the treasurer reporting. It's incredibly helpful. We've been able to work together briefly in this period to kind of provide an abbreviated update this month, and then next month there'll be a much more detailed update. So with that, I want to hand it off to Member Morales.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good evening. And I mean, of course, I don't want to be repetitive, but it's hard not to do it when we are in such a historic election, and this body, especially all the vice chairs have been working so hard to make sure that folks are turning out and that we're doing our part as the San Francisco Democratic Party. So thank you all for your work. And so as Member Thomas said, we are gonna share just very briefly what's going on in both our state and federal accounts, taking into consideration that what we have are estimates because there is a lot of money incoming and a lot of money outgoing. So on our state account, after we look into all the invoices that are coming in that we haven't paid and the checks that are incoming, that are pending, that are not actually fully in the bank, we estimate at the end of the month, after we've paid all of our mailers, that's what we mean with invoices, that we'll have around $62,000 in our bank accounts in the state account in particular. And in terms of our federal account, what we're estimating after we paid our invoices for all the mailers, and knowing that so far we don't have any pending checks or incoming money into that account, as it was already mentioned, I think by Chair Campos, we will have around $14,000 we estimate at the end of this month. And yeah, we hope to go through a kind of longer, more in-depth balance of our accounts next month. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And one thing that I would say about that is that I think it is a pretty great set of numbers in light of the fact that we're talking about 11 different pieces of mail that have been sent out by the party throughout the city and different parts of the city. So that's a very robust program. Unless there is any desire to talk about any of the committees, I'm just going to turn it over to our executive director, Karima Lynch. And again, before I turn it over, if everyone can please give Karima a big round of applause, because she has been, keeping it all together. As you can imagine, helping to put together 11 different mailers and collecting money from all the different people and the pictures and the logos and the translations and all of the logistics of that. Karima.
Thank you, Chair Campos. Thank you very much. But I couldn't do it without you, Chair Campos. Thank you so much for raising the money, making the calls. I know it was a big program and that was a lot of work. So I want to say thank you for that. Also, I'm not going to repeat what Member Lacroix said about our local mobilization for endorsed candidates, and I'm not also going to repeat what Member Gagliota said about also larger mobilization. I think you got the picture, and I think you know where to go and where to volunteer. So I just wanted to use my time really to speak about the free interns, plus also a volunteer, Alan Perones, that stick with us after his summer internship. And I'm gonna say I was not able to do all this work without them. Literally, Zoe, I wanna mention what she has been doing. Like this, you can understand and have a better vision of what our intern has been working on for Vote Blue SF, but also for SF Democrats and for our local endorsed candidates. So Zoe, as soon as the ballot came in, we had a huge numbers of call, voicemail, email. It was really overwhelming. People were asking about our endorsement. A lot of people were asking about our endorsement, but a lot of people were asking about the ballots and different information. And Zoe took on the project and literally called back every single one person. And I want to just say thank you, Zoe. That was a lot of hours, a lot of explanations. She took the time, even for a lot of older person also called and didn't know how to look into the website. So Zoe took the time to explain it to them. And so I just want to say thank you very much, Zoe. She also was part of the training. She trained a lot of volunteers during our phone bank. And she was in charge also of all the window sign Biden arrays that was sent all around San Francisco. She received all the orders. So thank you very much, Zoe. And she was also handling all the communication of Swing Left, Dem Action, Sister District, and really put it together, all the phone bank that was happening with us. So thank you, Zoe. I want to shout out also Emmanuel Ching, who was our beautiful designer. I mean, we couldn't be that much proud. I mean, we look so professional out there, Emmanuel. Thanks to you. Thank you so much. He was also in charge of the Instagram, and since the summer, we doubled our followers. So, and all the interaction that we have way more messages, way more likes. So thank you so much, Emmanuel. And he was also in charge of the voteblue.org website. He was the one who was putting all the event up on the website. So really, thank you, Emmanuel. We have also Priscilla. Priscilla, thank you, Priscilla, for taking the time to write all our newsletters every week for SF Democrats, but also for Vote Blue. Thank you so much. She was also in charge of the two Facebook's page, Vote Blue SF, and also SF Democrats. I want to really say thank you. She responded to every message on Facebook that we received. So thank you very much, Priscilla. We couldn't make it without you. And of course, all three were doing the training and responding to question and concern during the phone bank. So thank you. And Alan's still there with us since the summer internship, doing our timekeeping, coming up to our local mobilization, and also volunteering to our phone bank. So thank you very much, Alan, for sticking up with us. Yes, so that was, I just wanted to introduce, just doing a big shout out and highlight our volunteers, and also give you a list of what they have been doing. And they're gonna leave us. They're gonna leave us mid-November. I don't want to. I don't know what I'm gonna do without them, but I know that all of you, many of you has worked with them, and I know that you understand me when I say that. So thank you very much. And I think that was my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karima. Thank you to our incredible interns and just an amazing team effort here. So unless there's any other questions, I don't see, is Henny Kelly on?
Yes, she's on.
So I'll turn it over briefly to our regional director. If there are any announcements, Madam Regional Director.
Any? Can you hear me?
Where am I?
You're here. You're here. We can hear you.
You can
You're
hear
on
me.
Zoom.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, there is something after the election. I can't believe it. And it is going to be a Democratic Party, California Democratic Party e-board. And that is going to be over an entire week in November. It's either going to be the happiest e-board we've ever had or maybe not. But let's hope for happy. And how they are doing it is it starts on Monday, November 9th. And there are caucus meetings. You can go to almost every caucus meeting during this time. There are caucus meetings on the 9th. And the two of them that are there are the Women's Caucus and the Native American Caucus. They are in the evening, 5 to 7, then 7:30 to 9:30. On Tuesday, you will have the Disability Caucus from 5 to 7, and also the Rural Caucus at the same time. Or it might be at the later time, I'm not quite sure. On Veterans Day, which is November 11th, we are having a program for Veterans Day that will be from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. and I think it's going to be wonderful. And then they will have the Veterans Caucus from 1 to 3 on Thursday. We're going to have a conversation on redistricting and organization after the presidential election. There will be meetings starting at 1 o'clock. The Senior Caucus will meet from 5 to 7. And then from 7:30 to 9:30, we have the LGBT Caucus, Arab American Caucus, Chicano Latino Caucus, and the Labor Caucus. And then we do have the full e-board with a few more caucuses, and they would be the Asian Pacific Islander, Computer, Internet, Children's, and Progressive from 7:30 to 9:30 on Friday. We have basically all of our committee meetings. So if you are a delegate, which would be an e-board delegate, you should register by Friday. If you are a member of a standing committee, you have to register, and I'd like you to register by Friday. You can go on CADM, just push on the thing that says e-board. It'll have everything there. It'll have the entire agenda. We are going to be voting on how we're going to handle the ADEMs. We put a big plug in today for having them all the way the DNC vote was, which is to have them vote by mail. It will all be, if we can get that, we will do that. Otherwise, we are going to have drop-off places in the city for AD 17 and 19, and we will have people not have to get out of their cars. They can just come and they can drop off their ballot, or if they have to register there, they can register in their car. Somebody will take their registration and then bring them a ballot. So I will be getting all that information out, and I am hoping that the DCCC will make sure that we notify every club and every member of every club that there is the ADEMs going on, and then we will also see how many Democrats we can get to vote in this. I think it will strengthen our party if we can really do a good ADEM election, and those will be in January. The last day of the e-board is Sunday, November 15th, and at that point, if you're interested in running for an ADEM position, you can start on that day, and then you have 30 days from that day to get your name in. You will, there will be no speeches, but you will have a certain number of words that you can use or do a video, and we will put it on the CADM website so that people can get to know who is running for the ADEMs. And thank you very much. I look forward to a wonderful election and a wonderful November 4th, because we are going to win. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Henny, for all your work. And we will keep you apprised of the ADEM process, especially as we move forward. We'll now move on to item number 6, which is a resolution that has been introduced by Member Haney, by Supervisor Haney. Resolution urging the Honorable Gavin Newsom, Governor of California, to grant Charles Joseph a full pardon to allow him to remain in the United States with his family and to continue contributing to his community. So with that, I'll turn it over to Member Haney, and if I can be added as a co-sponsor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Campos, and thank you to a couple of the other folks who have also already signed on to be co-sponsors. I want to also just first thank Charles himself for calling in earlier, and the many advocates and friends of Charles who were calling in to share why this effort is so important and why Charles needs to be able to stay here with his family. The injustice that Charles currently faces is directly connected to the ways in which our state's prisons and ICE collaborate in a way that prevents the reunification of families. Instead of returning to their families after they have spent time in prison for a crime they were convicted of many years before, immigrants who are found suitable for parole are instead often directly transferred into ICE detention facilities where they await deportation. This form of double punishment and exile is cruel, unjust, and separates families. The resolution before us is to advocate for one particular individual who you all learned about this evening, who is well known to many immigrant rights advocates in San Francisco, named Charles Joseph, who was personally impacted by this anti-immigrant collaboration. The resolution urges Governor Newsom to intervene and grant a pardon to Charles Joseph, a father of 2, artist, musician, immigrants' rights advocate, who has become ensnared in this prison to ICE deportation pipeline. Charles Joseph came to the U.S. from Fiji as a permanent resident when he was a teenager, and after being imprisoned at age 22. Charles transformed his life while serving 13-year prison sentence by participating in violence prevention programs, developing his artistic talent, and becoming more connected to his spirituality and Indo-Fijian culture. However, after winning parole because of the current policy, he was transferred directly into ICE detention. After many months and a lot of advocacy by the Public Defender's Office, Charles was reunited with his family after a federal judge ordered his release from ICE custody because of his medical risks during COVID. But the risk of deportation remains, so much so that Charles could be deported at any time. By voting for this resolution, we will urge Governor Newsom to do the right thing and grant Mr. Joseph a full pardon in order for him to remain lawfully in the United States with his wife, family, and his community. I also want to acknowledge that the Board of Supervisors passed a similar resolution authored by my colleague, Supervisor Preston, which passed unanimously. And I want to thank the San Francisco Public Defender's Office, especially Carolyn Goosen, the Asian Law Caucus, and the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity for your advocacy around Charles Joseph and the broader movement for immigrant rights. And of course, for Charles himself, who called in and we got to hear from this evening, and for all the folks who are being added here as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that we have a number of folks who want to be added as co-sponsors in the chat. Before we discuss the matter, can I have a motion to approve the resolution introduced by Supervisor Haney? The motion by Weiner, second by Barry, and I know that Member Barry had her hand up.
Yes, go ahead. Thank you. I wanted to thank Member Haney for bringing this item to our attention. It's not often that the public gets to hear about necessary requests to our governor to grant a pardon. I'm disgusted that although California is a sanctuary state, the state is still cooperating with ICE. I especially would like to thank Charles Joseph. What you are going through, Mr. Joseph, is tough. However, through your strength and your smile, you are helping someone else. I also wanted to add that 5 years ago, I asked the infamous Angela Davis about incarceration for profit. And she said back in 2015, the up and coming profit of business in as far as incarceration is concerned was going to be those of undocumented people. I read the company that Mr. Joseph is being detained by is a for-profit, and this is really a sad and scary matter that I think is even bigger than this. Not to say Mr. Charles is not important. We were thankful he brought this to our attention, but it's very important. I also like to give a shout out to Erin Haney, Mr. Haney's sister, who does a lot of work in social justice. And I know these won't be the first time the DCCC will stand by this, especially for those who consider ourselves progressive. Thank you.
I know that we want to hear from, I think, our public defender by proxy, Carolyn Goosen.
Thank you so much. I was so happy when Minot asked me to be his proxy today, because I was planning to come and speak in favor of this resolution anyhow. And so it's really wonderful to see all of you today. And I just appreciate so much Supervisor Haney's bringing forth this resolution, Member Carolina Morales and Annabelle Ibanez initially co-sponsoring, and now seeing everyone co-sponsoring it is really wonderful. And thank you to Charles, to Isis, and all of the wonderful leaders in the immigrant rights and faith community who spoke out today. As has been mentioned, Charles is an incredible human being. He's been a very brave an important immigrant rights advocate at this moment. He's a client of the Public Defender's Office, but he's much more than that. He has become a friend, a colleague, an ally in this movement for change and for better treatment of people under this very unjust immigration system and the collaboration between the prison and immigration system. So myself and Minot Raju wholeheartedly support this resolution and hope you all will as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to hear from Member Morales and then Member Loftus.
Thank you, Member Haney and Supervisor, for bringing this resolution forth to this body, and for Charles for speaking, and for all the community members that are speaking in support. I know I always repeat I'm an immigrant, but that's very important for me to, as an identity, and for my experience, that's how I've seen and experienced the city, in the 19 years that I've been here. And I think one of the pieces that, as we've been talking about, but I just want to hone in a little bit more, that this case highlights is the need for progressive prosecution, for understanding how our criminal legal system treats particularly Black and brown bodies, and how that then ripples right into immigration and other issues. We know that we have a xenophobic and neo-Nazi and racist administration that's making our immigrant system even worse, right? And mirroring all those oppressive systems. And the criminal legal system is the entry point many times for our immigrant brothers and sisters to get trapped into this horrendous mess that is detention and deportation. So thank you all. I urge you to please stand in support of Charles and this resolution, and thank you.
Thank you, Member Morales. Member Loftus.
Thank you, Chair Campos. Thank you, Supervisor Haney, for giving me a chance to learn more about Mr. Joseph. Mr. Joseph, I think you're still on the line. So I just wanted to say hello and tell you that I read everything and watched the video, and I just wanted to say, maybe if you could tell your daughters, Hope and Carly, that they are such powerful advocates. And it was so clear to me that you are surrounded by incredibly strong women. Your mom spoke, your wife, your two beautiful daughters. And it was clear to me that you have so much to fight for and care so much about this community. And I'm grateful to get to know you, and I'm very proud to support. Please add me as a co-sponsor. And please, if you would, tell your daughters how much of an impact they made on me. I have 3 kids myself, 3 daughters, and you have a lot to be proud of, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Supervisor Haney, anything else?
Thank you all. And Charles is still here and he's listening, and it sounds like his family is listening as well. So let us know, Charles, if there's anything any of us can do to support you. In addition to this body taking action, maybe some folks can follow up directly with Charles. I know some people may have connections to the governor or the governor's office. And we would love to continue to do whatever we can to support you. And again, this was mostly a result of Mano and Carolyn and the Public Defender's Office. And I was just grateful to be able to work with them on it.
Once this is voted upon, we will proceed to send a letter with a copy of the resolution to the governor. So on the resolution to approve on the motion to approve the resolution by Member Haney urging Governor Newsom to grant Charles Joseph a full pardon, those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Kounalakis abstains.
Kounalakis abstains. Any other abstentions? It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Mr. Joseph. Thank you to you and your family for coming to us today. Thank you, Supervisor Haney. We'll now move on to item number 7, which is a resolution calling for financial support of San Francisco independent venues. And this is a resolution that has been introduced by Vice Chair Lacroix. So I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Lacroix.
Thank you so much, Chair Campos. Again, good evening, everybody. So I have put forth this resolution on behalf of community, but I will just get into the meat and potatoes of it all. The resolve clause says that the DCCC would strongly urges city leaders to provide emergency financial support in things such as rent, utilities, and payroll payments, while entertainment venues in San Francisco remain closed through 2020 and 2021, and that city leaders include entertainment venue community in further talks when it comes to the reopening guidelines for events and indoor venues. Why I'm bringing this resolution forward is because San Francisco nightlife establishments employ over 63,000 workers, likely more, and generate, according to the 2010 census, $4.2 billion into our local economy. It is a key economic driver, but also, and it can be a part of the larger puzzle for our recovery post-COVID. But as a lot of the members in public comment have said, these are some of the first establishments to close and some of the last ones that'll be able to reopen. And so right now we're balancing, the safety of our community, and that's something that we will always prioritize, but we also have to think about the financial impacts that closing large venues like these or medium and other smaller independent venues has on the community, like all those folks who work there, whether they're bartenders or door people or janitorial staff. Like a lot of these folks are minimum wage workers who maybe have to work 2 and 3 jobs, and by these venues being closed, they are directly impacted in their pocketbook and really in their ability to even live and thrive and stay in the city. For example, a 1-bedroom apartment in San Francisco is about $2,800 a month. And so oftentimes, like when you have, just one minimum wage job, you have to partner up with somebody, maybe multiple people, in order to just make your rent, especially if you're working in avenues and ventures like these. And so I'm putting forth this resolution, again, just to call on our city leaders as we, think through supports for, the homeless community during these times and other areas that are, impacted by COVID, that we also consider, our independent venues who are the last to reopen and the employees that they have under them, who are, such a vital part of San Francisco culture and economy. Like I said, a lot of these venues believe that they will be closed within 12 months if there's no additional support from our local government. And while we do recognize these venues as, a part of our world-class, status as, San Francisco is a world-class city, we also have to make sure that we are supporting them in that same way. We've seen, the permanent closures of long established venues like Slim's and the Stud and the Uptown and Starline Social Club in Oakland. And these are all precursors to mass cultural extinction in the Bay Area. if there is no financial support to help sustain these communities. And so I urge, I humbly request your support for this resolution, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think we have a question from Morales.
Yes, thank you, Member Lacroix, for bringing this resolution forward. It's so important. And so I just have a question. I mean, there is so much power in having specific, be it resolve clauses and the resolve clauses. And also sometimes I think it can be tricky to balance, you know, making decisions sometimes without having the full information, particularly when we ask for financial support. So I just have a question around, do we know if we can, maybe when we ask for rent and utilities, emergency financial monies, if that can be made more broad, or if there has been already any attempts to have the city ask these big corporations like PG&E that makes a lot of money to give a break to small businesses, or particularly entertainment venues, like other ways in which maybe landlords can help in this time. I think that the clause around payroll, it's very important. I think we should help workers have an income whatever way we can. But yeah, that's my question. And
yeah, representatives from the Independent Venue Coalition are also working, you know, parallel to reach out to members of the board and the assembly to look at other avenues for support. I think they are just reaching out to us as the DCCC to, you know, stand in solidarity with them. And as you know, as we all know, this is not our function as the Democratic Party is not a legislative body. This is more just saying, hey, we DCCC members, you know, stand alongside you when wanting to support not only this this area of our economy, but also, like, more importantly, their workers.
Through the chair, I don't know, am I allowed to speak again? Can I offer a friendly amendment? Could we please take out rent and utilities from that line and just leave it emergency financial support in general, and particularly payroll payments?
Well, before we do that, can we have a motion on the original resolution? Can we have a motion on that first?
So moved.
So motion by Lacroix. Can we have a second? Second by Loftus. And then Member Morales, you have a friendly amendment. What is that? Is to take out,
yes.
What did you say?
Just to take out rent and utilities from that clause and keep it more general around emergency financial support, maybe add particularly payroll payments so that it makes sense grammatically or syntax.
Through the chair, if it's okay, Member Morales, I'm wondering what your what's bringing about your friendly amendment.
That if the idea is that we are just offering general support to this, I don't know why we are being so specific about rent and utilities. And as a personal politic, I do not want the government to give money to PG&E or to like private landlords if there are other policy avenues that can be more creative that we could achieve through other means. And that's just maybe me. I don't know if there are other members who agree, but.
Okay, so before we act on that, can just go to Member Lovett. You had a question?
Right. Yeah, my question was how this resolution would dovetail with Mayor Breed and the Treasurer's announcement on Monday around support for entertainment venues, whereby license fees and also certain taxes, business registration would be waived. So they have some specific conditions, but already there's $2.5 million coming from the city to support venues that have gross receipts up to 20 million. So they're not these like giant venues, but they are the ones that are probably small or mid-sized.
Mhm. It's my understanding that, you know, while the mayor's office announcement this week, you know, does go a way to helping support, you know, these venues, when you divide them across all of the organizations and all not companies, but all of the venues that need support, you know, it's only like a really small chunk of change. And so I think like what the mayor's office put forward is a great first step. But like other places that are impacted by COVID that are slowly being able to reopen, these venues are not. And so they're going to need more support to be able to sustain a longer duration of closure. So I think it goes hand in hand, you know, this resolution and the coalition's next steps with advocacy, but it isn't the final step.
Okay, colleagues. So Member Morales, going back to you, do you want to make that amendment and vote on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend. Can you specify that again?
On the be it resolved clause, could we please just simply take out the words rent utilities? And just to make it grammatically or the syntax more correct, and given that I'm taking out 2 words, so that's the friendly amendment, we could add the word particularly to payroll payments.
Chair Lacroix, Vice Chair Lacroix, are you okay with that?
So you'd want it to read, strongly urges city leaders to provide emergency financial support, in particular payroll support, in particular payroll payments while blah, blah, blah continues. I accept the friendly amendment.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so Vice Chair Mahogany.
I just want to thank Vice Chair Lacroix for bringing this forward. I think it's I think most people know that I am an owner at the Stud and have been working in nightlife for a really long time. And so, you know, we did have to close back at the beginning of the pandemic. And I personally know the pressures that are being faced by nightlife owners and bar owners across the city and small venue owners as well. I do think that this is incredibly important. And I support this this resolution. My question, though, is a procedural one, and I thought that we had to first vote to approve the adding of this to the agenda, and I wasn't sure if we have done that yet. So I just wanted to make sure that we were in compliance.
I think that we voted on the agenda as amended.
Oh, I see. So it was included at that time.
It was included at that time.
Okay, thank you. All right, then
Yes.
I just want to thank you for bringing this forward, and I would like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on the motion, so we have a motion to amend by Morales. Is there a second on the amendment?
Second.
Second by Galata. Can we take the motion to amend without objection? Without objection. So on the resolution as amended, I think we already moved it and seconded that resolution. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Any abstentions?
Kanalakis abstains.
Walkus abstains. Anyone else? Resolution passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix, for bringing that item forward. Appreciate that. And thank you to all of the venue owners and folks from the industry who came to speak. So now we'll move on to our next resolution, which is also a resolution introduced by Vice Chair Lacroix. It is a resolution urging the Board of Supervisors and the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District to protect San Francisco and Bay Area transportation workers. So with that, Vice Chair Lacroix.
Hello again. So before I get into it, I do have a quick amendment that I want to make sure is reflected. In my rush to get this out, I mistyped in the resolve clause. So I wanted to say, be it resolved that the SF Democratic County Central Committee supports the decision of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and strongly urges the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District Board of Directors to oppose any efforts to issue layoff notices to the 185 employees before January 1st, 2021. There has been action on this at the board already, and so I just wanted to make sure that this resolution reflected that, while also calling attention to the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District to again support their workers, because transportation has been a vital part of our COVID response, making sure especially essential workers and people who do not have access to cars can get around to, purchase their groceries, go to hospital, doctor's appointments, etc. And, issuing layoffs to a section of these really these essential workers is just, especially during these times, is not ideal and is not a decision that our local and regional governments should be making. So I, again, humbly ask for your support for this resolution, and I am happy to answer any questions. Chair Campos, you are on mute.
We have a motion to adopt the resolution with that amendment that was explained by Vice Chair Lacroix. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who is that?
It was second by Ibanez.
Ibanez. So with that, we have a number of members who would like to speak. So we'll begin with our Secretary, Janice Lee.
Great, thank you, Chair Campos, and thank you so much, Vice Chair Lacroix, for introducing this. As you all know, I sit on elected board of a transit agency. If you didn't read, I have a lot of feelings about SF Chronicle, but SF Chronicle, they did just publish an article, I think yesterday, about how BART is part of the economic response to the pandemic and how our public transit agencies are providing essential trips to our essential workers at a time like now. BART has done, I know that member Dufty is not here today, my compatriot on the BART board, but BART board has done everything we possibly can to not issue a warning, and that we've done everything to avoid layoffs, because we know that these jobs at the Golden Gate Bridge District, across, transit agencies across the Bay, these are good paying union jobs. And these are critical jobs that we keep right now, not only to provide trips for essential workers, but that we can keep the economy running. And I know that we are all making incredibly tough choices right now. And I want to be honest with the people who are listening and with DCCC that if Trump wins, we are all screwed. We are going to make the toughest choices of our lives. There will be layoffs and there will be public institutions that will fail and they will close. BART is facing that. I know the Bridge District is facing that. But what is important is that we hold out hope, we fight like hell, we work to get Biden and Harris elected, we fight for our public institutions, for our transit, for our schools, for our parks, for everything that we believe in, that we fight like hell and get the emergency funding. And it is, I think, short-sighted to make any drastic decision before that, which is why I'm in strong support and will ask to be added as a co-sponsor to this resolution today. I really thank Vice Chair Lacroix for bringing this forward. I thank the service of all the public sector employees here, and I'm here with you, Golden Gate Bridge District workers. So thank you for your service.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. We'll hear from Member Chen.
Thanks, Leah, for bringing this forward. I would like to add a friendly amendment to it. Could we possibly add sending this resolution to the MTC, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission? I think they need to know that what's happening. They might know, they might not know, but at least we've done our duty to send it to them also.
Gladly accept that friendly amendment, Member Chen.
Oh, you said it in the minutes already?
So we have a motion to amend second by Lacroix. We can take that without objection. And by the way, we do have, so without objection, that amendment is adopted. One of our members, member Ronan, actually represents the San Francisco Board of Supervisors on the MTC. So I'm sure that she will be aware of this.
And your baby is so cute. I can't even take it. That's all. I'm sure that was out of order.
We have a couple of other speakers. Member Spear.
Thank you, Chair Campos. I just wanted to echo the statements made by Member Lee, but also to note the role that Speaker Pelosi is playing in this, because she's been working very hard to try to deliver money, hundreds of billions of dollars to local governments and transit agencies throughout the country, and a representative isn't here tonight. But I know that she's taken at least some criticism from some for not breaking the problem down into smaller pieces and passing them, but she has the right strategy to try to make sure that all of these important public priorities are taken care of. And after we win on Tuesday and take over, hopefully, the Senate as well, these choices hopefully will be much, much easier. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Member Ting.
Thank you. I just wanted to just say very quickly before the vote that that will be abstaining. Absolutely don't want to see people laid off, but with the dramatic drops in ridership and bridge traffic that the bridge district is facing, I'm just hoping we get that federal funding after Tuesday's victory, and I hope that our speaker will bring that home, because a lot of agencies, not just GGB, are going to be really, really hurting if they don't get that.
Any other comments, colleagues? I would simply note, having served on the Golden Gate Bridge and Transportation District, is that, unfortunately, it's not the first time that this agency takes a very short-sighted approach when it comes to budgets and workers. They did that in the automation of the tolling, and I think they could have done a better job of planning for the laying off of those workers. And, I don't think that for the reasons that I think Janice Lee explained, I don't think that this is warranted at this particular time. There's still hope, and we're certainly going to work between now and November 3rd to make sure that we have a Biden-Harris administration that will allow this to be prevented. So with that, I also want to be added as a co-sponsor. So on the resolution, anything else, Vice Chair Lacroix? On the resolution, on the motion to adopt the resolution as amended, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Any abstentions?
Wiener abstains.
Wiener. Cohen. Koulianakis. Ma. Great.
David.
Ting and Chu.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much, and the resolution passes. And thank you, Vice Chair Lacroix, for bringing this forward. So now we'll move on to our last item, which is new business. And colleagues, any announcements? I know that we've made a number of announcements about now and the election. Anything else to add to that?
I just want to remind everyone.
Member Loftus.
Sorry. I just want to remind everyone, Prop 20 is the resolution that we passed. Remember, we talked about Ralph's Market and Safeway trying to roll back criminal justice reform. So that is Prop 20. And I just want to make sure that everybody is reminding their friends and family to vote no on Prop 20 and not take us backwards. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you for that note, Member Loftus. Anything else?
I don't know if this falls under new business. This is Member Lee, but I know that many of you participated in a press conference regarding the absolutely racist remarks made against school board members Ali Collins and Gabriela Lopez. It was a consensus amongst the school board members to support the resolution, but only Allison Collins and Gabriela Lopez were targeted with these racist remarks. I want to specifically call out, as a Chinese American leader in elected politics, that these remarks were made by an API person, a young API person. And I think that racism has absolutely no place here. I don't know if Member Mañez, you want to speak to this as well. It's a member of UESF, but they were disgusting. I wish I was a little bit more prepared to bring forth a resolution today, but I want to be on record to say that I absolutely abhor the comments that were made. I don't find a peaceful protest, and that kind of action and behavior has absolutely no place in San Francisco or really anywhere.
Thank you, Secretary Janice Lee. I think that you speak for so many of us with those words. Member Ibanez, do you want to add anything?
I just want to say absolutely thank you, Member Lee, for raising this issue. I think it's really important to ensure and to let members, Commissioner Lopez and Collins, that this body stands with them and that hatred is not going to be tolerated, not only towards them, but to anyone in the city. It's not a value that I believe that we San Franciscans don't value, and that when those issues do come up, that we have to stand up and send a strong message that we will not tolerate it. And it doesn't matter who is coming when it comes about hatred and hurtful and harm, that we need to be able to say enough is enough. We have a person that needs to be out from the White House that is spewing that hatred, and that we can't level to or stoop ourselves to that level, that we have to be higher than that. And so for me, I think we as a body need to send a very strong message that we will not accept that. So thank you so much, Member Lee, for bringing it, and thank you, Chair Campos.
Great, thank you. I guess, one question that I would just leave as an open question, and I am curious as to whether or not, what feedback people have. But historically, the DCCC does not meet in November or December. If people feel strongly one way or the other, please let me or Karima know. The one thing that we have historically done following the election is that even though we don't have a formal meeting in November or December, we do have a holiday celebration of some sort. And we will figure out what that looks like in the age of COVID, but I am definitely committed to making sure that we do that. But if unless there is a request to meet in November or December, we will follow the tradition of not meeting during those 2 months. And so our next business meeting will be in January. So with that, Madam Executive Director, anything else to report?
No, that's all.
Well, we only have a few days, Democrats. Let's go get it done. Let's make that blue wave happen. Biden, Harris, we'll win this baby. Thank you so much. And thank you for bringing the baby, Queena.
Thank you,
Always great to
Queena.
see babies in the meeting. The meeting is
And Member
adjourned.
Barry had some beautiful children too.
That's
Thank
true.
you, Barry.
They were very
Very
engaged.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Let's go win this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wave.